All right. Good morning, maybe good afternoon. Hi, welcome to practice. My name is Alyssa. Uh, I said maybe good afternoon because I've been having technical difficulties all morning trying to figure out how to get the software to work and everything to update. And, I'm sure that there's like a lot of folks for whom the tech stuff is really easy. But it is difficult for me sometimes. So I spent a little time with that, but I'm happy to be here and be recording. You may not be in morning time, you may be in afternoon. I'm about to sort of reach high noon here in the San Juan Islands. And this is an offered yoga class. The intention is just to make it accessible. So you can use it any way that you'd like to. You might practice for a little, you might. Turn off the video. Maybe you do different postures, but use this as a structure. Maybe you add or omit things, you rest more, etc. Because often it's not the tool for you. And there's a backlog of videos here. So maybe you look for something a little bit different simply because you know that's what you need. I also put out a yin video every week for that purpose. This video particularly is geared towards the community at Yoga Posers, which I taught in person for when in-person classes were still happening and safe in Seattle. And that community has always been a sliding scale and donation based with the intention of trying to remove the focus on commodity of the yoga and instead put that focus on the community of the yoga. So information about that is always listed. My dog Albert, he'll probably walk through the shot a few times. But half of all the proceeds for these videos this month in July are going to the Washington Black Trans Task Force. There's always a link to the information about what they do. For me, I'm just attempting to create equity with all of the resources that I have and to utilize my privilege to take on acts of of kindness, of nonviolence. Ooh, yeah. Always hard to figure out how to be articulate about this, but acts of nonviolence, acts of true kindness and earnestness. And so that's a part of my work as a yoga teacher in general. This week, I thought in practice that we might just consider, in a simple way, our ability to hold incongruent ideas or feelings or contexts all at the same time for things that feel difficult to be true at once to be true. And that really these contexts of honesty, of truthfulness, and nonviolence, of kindness, are part of that process of being able to hold incongruent ideas or incongruent truths. I think a lot about being able to love something or someone and also hold them accountable, being able to love oneself and also to hold oneself accountable. I see a lot of fragility and a lot of difficulty around that and experience some of it myself. And so just putting forth the context that the work with yoga is a bit of a, like rub your stomach and pat your head or vice versa at the same time, just to figure out how we can be coordinated ideas, how we can let ourselves practice being with new pathways. And if you can recall, maybe you can't, but if you've watched a child learn to walk, we're not born with the innate knowledge. We have to figure it out. And then to become graceful at it, we have to practice. We have to stand up and hold the edge of a table or hold the shoulder of a sitting parent. We have to find our way through before we become coordinated, before there's grace and ease, and it sort of feels like second nature. We have to build that pathway. And so anything can have a pathway built for it. Any new understanding can come forth. It's easier when you're younger from a biological standpoint, but give yourself a little credit that old patterns that you don't need anymore can die. You can let them die. It can be sad for them to die. You can build new pathways, make new space by resetting, rebuilding, being consistent, determined. Remember that it won't work every time, right? Most things that are difficult to reset, most things that we want to sort of build in ourselves give us resistance, right? Resistance is there. And so notice that this is not a conquering attitude. This is not of the culture that we have become accustomed to, the dominance culture in which we sort of decide to conquer things, etc. Can be let go with love, let go with peace and earnestness, right? Not everything has to be hated because we disagree with it. It can just be disagreed with, right? There's space for us to hold a lot of different ideas at once without tolerating that which is harmful to us or others. All right, before we get started, know that my dogs will come through the shot a couple times, many times. I'll probably unplug and replug things and I'll have to adjust them. But I'm out on a farm, so you might hear sounds or see creatures, especially when my voice falls. And you could always take into context the reality of your own surroundings, right? It's okay to practice in the way that you do. You might have to stop and eat a sandwich or move a cat or something like that, and that's all okay. All right. I like to begin by uniting with 3 rounds of the seed sound of Om. I offer Om as a secular chant, acknowledging the interconnection between all things. If Oming or chanting isn't for you, or maybe you're in a space where it's not the best thing for you to practice, there's maybe a sleeping child, etc., always feel free to sit with us in silence or stand with us in silence instead. Close your eyes. You can let fall into any position that doesn't draw too much unnecessary attention to them. Stack your spine in such a way that it feels relatively neutral. No, you don't have to fight the curl of your shoulders too much. It doesn't have to be a perfect posture, just a posture of sustainability for the moment. And consider what you are practicing, the intention of this time, the intention of what you're doing, the fact that you're dedicating your focus, your awareness to this work for whatever amount of time and energy you're putting in is important. And to clear and prepare the energetic channel of your body, and take a big deep inhale in through your nose. To open your mouth to exhale, HA. Inhale, prepare for Om. Take a long inhale in through your nose and a slow exhale out. And as you're ready, we'll find a grounding posture. I often offer child's pose, but you could remain in a seat, come to lying on your back or your side instead. You can always sit up on something if that's best for your body. I use a book, and you might have blocks. For child's pose, you could bring your feet together, the tops of your feet down, settle your hips toward your heels. Sometimes feet wider, knees wider feels better or different. There are lots of different good versions of the pose. Fold forward and down. You can come to your hands. You can stack your fists or come to a block to rest your forehead on. You're always welcome to take your arms out long in front or to sweep them back by your side hips. This shape is not for everybody. It can be a lot in the knees or the quads or the low back or hips. And so feel free to change it to adjust for you. Shift forward or pad under your knees or under your hips. You'd be in a totally different position entirely. Let that be true. Not a prescriptive practice, but a practice of awareness. So as you start to arrive, begin to pay attention to how things really are, right? There's often an idea we can use this practice to deny how things are, right? It is not that kind of work. Real healing requires us to move forward into truth, right? Into how things are in reality, right? And that's difficult work. So be compassionate. You can dip your toe in, as it were. You don't have to do the plunge quite yet, though consider those who are waiting for you. And as you give yourself a little space to notice how things are, simply by paying attention to the sense objects that rise up and fall out of the field of your awareness, notice the external. What do your eyes see, even if it's the backs of your eyelids? What do you hear with your ears and taste? What do you sense with the touch of your body? What is there temperature wise and texture wise to pay attention to? And that's a safe scale, a space for you to stay, right? Sometimes external work is the best place. Sometimes being in the body is not our work. So you might continue to pay attention to what is around you in the setting as a way to turn back towards awareness work. You might also go into the body and notice what it feels like in there. Maybe for you, you notice where it's compressed or extended, the creaks, the aches, the pains, maybe where things feel liberated and free. What parts of the body touch one another? What part float away? You might notice also the energetic context, the mood or quality, the attitude, how your chakras are spinning, your wheels are turning, any pertinent attitudes or emotions to be acknowledged. And we're not trying to make you the best version or anything like that. How are you really? Right? What's really there, right, for you to acknowledge and only really be compassionate with what we're truthful about. And begin to consider any thought patterns, any thinking context for your brain. What are you thinking about and how are you thinking it? And what's rising up and falling away? Sometimes we're very aware. Some of us have like an internal monologue almost going all of the time. And some of us experience thought in other ways. So just consider what it is you're paying attention to in all of these scales of sounds, maybe any other layers or versions that are intuitive for you. And as you pay attention to this sort of symphony of sensations, disattach, right? So that to our own credit of being able to swim in this like beautiful sea of experience, to learn from it, we're really trying to identify with that which doesn't attach to these things, the part of us that is just bearing witness, that is kind enough not to filter identity through. Let's begin to find ujjayi breath, or exaggerated breathing, the upward liberating breath to connect the mind with the body and the awareness with the intention. Exhale the air you have and get empty. Maybe feel your navel draw back towards your spine. Then slowly in breath through your nose, breathe to fill your belly, and then slowly your ribs in your own timing, maybe up into your chest, and retain the breath softly for a moment at mostly full. When you're ready to exhale, breathe out through your mouth, HA, like you're fogging a mirror or fogging your glasses. And even then, kindly, gently. It doesn't have to be to the nth degree. Breathing in again through your back body, your back ribs, and your shoulder blades, and hold it full. Again, open your mouth to exhale, HA. Ujjayi pranayama. Breathe in through your nose, slowly at the bottom, snoring. When you're ready, try to slow your breath down by slowing its entrance into your rib cage, into your belly. And when you're full, hold softly for a moment to feel ease and retention. And then sigh out through your nose, that same HA sound, but through your nostrils. You might feel a little sound in your throat. We're not creating the sound from tension there, but instead just the whirling of the air being pulled in and out from your diaphragm, sighing and snoring. If you start to feel tension, you might try to exaggerate by just slowing down your exhales instead of hyping or upping the breath. Pranayama, to unmanipulate. And begin to breathe and move. If you haven't already, wiggle and shift. You might come forward to a hands and knees position and rock your hips from side to side. You might extend out a leg. You can move how your body feels. Maybe it's real clear that something needs to be addressed or moved because it's telling you. You might move in a ritualized way because you want to. It's powerful. It feels powerful or intentional to move in that way. It might be something you know you always need simply because it's pragmatic sense for you. And stretch the wrists, the shoulders. And it can be very broad from an external point of view, very obvious how you're moving. But it might also be subtle and still and slow. Right now, in this filming time, we've just come out of dark moon, right? We're in the sort of dark moon moment, a lot of star action to be seen, which has a different kind of energy. Sometimes we're a little bit more dry and creaky and tired. And so I'll offer that we move and flow a little, but also that we take time to be still in this practice. And you might do that in a different way than I suggest, even. And starting to move towards tabletop shape together, find a hands and knees position, stacking relatively your shoulder over your wrist joint, your hips over your knees. Think about the sockets, right? Where is the architecture functional as opposed to where we think of the parameters of our anatomy. We'll find cow-cat tilting when you're ready. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly, lift your chin and tailbone up. And exhale to cat pose. Tuck your chin round your spine, dome your shoulders. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale to cat. And follow your breath through these two actions while practicing awareness of how things are. Are you still breathing freely? Maybe you're coordinating the breath and the movement together, noticing where they have relationship. If you lose the breath, that's often a sign that we're just asking ourselves to work on a performance conduit as opposed to a process conduit. Remember that here we're in process-oriented mode as opposed to product-oriented mode. They both have value. And so it doesn't have to be the most deep or the most best or the most photographable version to be of value. You don't have to train, as it were, at that sort of burnout degree for it to be effective. And slowly come back to neutral tabletop shape and press down into your right hand. Take your left arm up. Inhale, look up, twist to the left, and exhale, thread the needle underneath and behind your right wrist. Come down to shoulder, ear. Stay where you are. You're welcome to move your right arm around into different variations. You could cross the ankles or change the and replace your right hand on the mat near your nose if you shifted it. Inhale your left arm back out and then up. And exhale to tabletop, two hands on the mat. Press into your right hand and inhale your left hand, inhale your right arm up. We'll do the other side and exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind your left wrist. Come down to the shoulder, ear, jaw. And again, things may be the same, symmetrical from side to side, but they also may not be. Sometimes our desire to perform symmetry actually creates patterns that are less than functional. So consider how you're doing what you're doing and why. Remember that for most of us, your liver is on one side and your stomach is on the other, not symmetrical beings truly. And place your left hand back on the mat near your nose. Inhale your right arm back out and then up, twisting. And exhale to tabletop. Take a moment and pause in tabletop, a moment of active stillness as opposed to changing from shape to shape. Press into your hands. I suggest if you feel like your shoulders are behind your wrists, like you're pushing yourself back, that you may want to shorten up the distance between your knees and wrists so you can come more forward and push. Press into the ground just gently, right? Just as much as you press into the ground to take a footstep, right? This is not force-based, violence-based, not a push to the edge, but instead just a feeling of that kinetic pressure of energy, of how gravity actually creates dynamicism for you. If you do this, you may notice the neck and shoulder muscles want to take over. Try to use your middle back muscles to draw the blades of your shoulders down the back and around to the sides of your ribs as you press. You might even turn your index fingers a little more out. You may feel your tail tuck and your abdominal muscles draw in. Uddiyana Bandha is one of the ways we refer to that in yoga, drawing your navel up and back. You may also feel a little bit of action by trying to just a minimal flare of your tail so that you feel the floor of your pelvis tone as well, Mula Bandha. Take an inhale, curl your toes under. Exhale into down dog, spin your knees and hips up and back. And you might need to walk your feet back, especially if you shortened up your tabletop. You might need to address right away how you're doing this. Tabletop is always a choice instead of this pose, as well as child's pose. From here, feel free to move and breathe. A lot of you will bend opposite knee and plug opposite heel down. You might lift both heels and bend both knees. Nod your head, shrug your shoulders. And test out the distance between hands and feet, feet and hands. Usually the recommendation is about planks distance. Usually that's different though for human to human. So you might discern where you feel strong and stable, right? That's a lot of the work. From a felt point of view, where do you feel structural stability? Where do you feel the ability to be at ease? In my case, where do you feel the ability to move away from the occasional yellow jacket that tries to land on your hand? In other words, every once in a while, I'm not demonstrating exactly what I'm saying because of my situation. Continue to intuit what's going on with you. Truly, I'm not in time or space with you, so you have the responsibility, the power, the gift to do the work of healing for yourself by listening, paying attention, honoring your own realities. Take an inhale to bend your knees and lift your gaze, and exhale to walk your feet forward to your hands and hang in a ragdoll form, a forward fold. You can grab for opposite elbows if you wish with your hands to dangle. Bend your knees a little or a lot. Often helps just transition the pressure of gravity out of the hamstrings a bit more into the spine. You can play around with where the weight is in your feet, forward or back. Try to relax your neck. Often our neck muscles are so used to responding that we don't realize we're still holding our head up. So you might nod it yes and no to remind yourself to release it. Breathe into your back and side ribs. What are you paying attention to? Where is your awareness? And how can you cultivate enough sense of power that you can be with things that seem incongruent or dissonant? And release your arms out of any chosen grip in the next few exhales. Take an inhale to lift halfway, unroll your heart. You might press hands into shins or exhale, forward fold. Soften your knees and step your left foot back so you're in a long, low lunging position. Drop your left knee down and plant your left hand down on the earth or a block. Inhale your right arm up, twist to the right. Now you're always welcome to pad your back knee. You can do this more as a sort of runner's lunge, sending your hips forward and down, or you can shift more back and focus on the twists in a different way. You're welcome to gaze up or hang your head. Take another in-breath when you're ready. And exhale, 2 hands down, frame your front foot, curl your back toes under and lift your back knee up off the mat. Step back to plank pose, inhale, and exhale your knees to the mat. Again, find tabletop, we'll do a little shoulder business. So inhale to cow pose, and on your exhale, bend your elbows in and back and offer your heart forward and down. It doesn't have to be all the way down. Inhale, come back up to cow pose. Exhale to cat, round your spine. Good, inhale, cow pose. Exhale, bend your elbows, offer your heart. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. One more like that. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, bend your elbows, offer your heart. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. Good, inhale, cow pose. And on your exhale, walk your knees back so that you can be in plank, on the knees instead of table, which really just means being able to bring the hips forward and down. Take an inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows, flare your tail, try to lower your chest. Your whole body may come down. We're all headed there. Inhale to cobra pose. Peel your heart forward and up. Press the tops of your feet down. Exhale, bring your chin or forehead down. 2 more times. Inhale, Bhujangasana, cobra. Try to use back strength, supported with your hands only. Exhale to lower. 1 more time. Press your feet down into the ground. Inhale to roll up. And exhale to lower. Curl your toes. Plug your knees down. Inhale through that hands and knees position. Exhale back to downward facing dog pose. Tail high and heels low. Breathe in and out through your nose. Feel free to bend your knees in any and all down dogs. Keep your heels lifted, especially if that accommodates tension and shape in the lower back and pelvis. Try to press into your hands and shift weight back towards your feet so that even with bent knees, you do feel a sense of stretch down in the lower leg. Or perhaps you achieve one even if it's not quite felt in your connective tissue. Take an inhale, look forward, and on your exhale, step your feet up to your hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine. Exhale, fold, soft knees, step right foot back. Drop your right knee down, right hand down on earth or maybe a lift like a book or block. And inhale, take your left arm up. You're welcome to turn your left toes out, press into the top of your back foot. You're always welcome to different variations and versions, perhaps gazing upward and outward. Breathe. Notice if the breath goes once you're in the pose and then you bring it back after you got organized. Try to breathe while you're organizing as well. And exhale to release, 2 hands down. Frame your front foot. Good. Curl your back toes under. Lift your back knee up off the mat. Inhale to plank pose. Step back. Exhale, knees to the mat. Bend your elbows in and back. Chest to the mat or lower all the way down. Inhale, cobra. Peel your heart forward and up. Exhale, lower the upper body and curl the toes. Inhale from hands or knees. Exhale to down dog. Tail high, breathing. Try to spin your shoulders out, your biceps forward and out from your shoulders so that you have broadness and your neck is not congested. Push with your hands and make sure your index fingers and thumb knuckles feel like they're really laying down without grabbing, as opposed to all the wrist action being in the outer hand. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll. Exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, roll up. Take several breaths to do this. Round your spine. Maybe you can drag your fingertips, bend your knees if you like. When you get to the top, you might roll your shoulders down your back a few times, stack your head in relative neutral over your body, or close your eyes. And gaze out on the horizon if you prefer an open-eyed practice. Relax your heels into the earth. Continue to remember that self-empowerment comes from you, right? So as you engage with these actions, notice the tensions that you have, right? What do you resist, right? What do you dive into? And that's just knowledge, right? Not necessarily a recommendation on which thing to address. Remember that both things can be true. You can be interested in something that troubles you. You can have difficulty with something that's important to you. Right? You can be kind and also, right, ask for kindness. And on your next inhale, flutter your eyes open. On your next exhale, tune into what's around you. And slowly at first, Surya Namaskara A. Inhale your arms out and up, reaching upward. Urdhva Hastasana, pause and breathe. You are welcome to press your hands together. You are welcome to choose shoulder distance. They are both good and have different needs and uses. And also bend your elbows or choose not to bring the arms all the way up for any reason. Press your heels down and integrate a little tilt of your tail, your belly in. You can lift your heart up, a gentle back bend. Take another in-breath when you're ready to press the center of your chest, breastbone upward. Exhale, forward fold. Feel free to stick out your tail, bend your knees on the way, and hang down. Good. Widen your feet to hips distance, please. Bend your knees deeply enough that you could take two peace sign fingers and scoop up each big toe, Padangusthasana. Use an inhale to unroll your heart like a half lift, and exhale, fold deeply. Bend your elbows and pull yourself in and down. So we're taking some time to work in stillness or sort of in staying in the house of each posture for a little while before we practice the freedom of going in and out from one to the other fluidly. Breathe into your back and side ribs and feel free to tuck your chin, round your spine, use your abdominal muscles if you wish. But also practice contracting through your hamstrings. I know it seems a little strange. A little isometric squeeze sometimes changes the shape you can put your pelvis in. Inhale and roll your heart like a halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, halfway lift. You can press your hands to shins or thighs, flare your tail, draw your shoulders down your back. And exhale, fold deeply. Plant your hands. We'll step back to plank pose. Take an inhale and exhale, lower halfway or all the way. Chaturanga Dandasana. You can use your knees if you wish. Inhale, upward dog. Try to lift the knees as you press the tops of your feet down, hands down, pull your heart up. Exhale, downward dog. You may have to, one at a time, untuck your toes, hang your head, relax your jaw. Breathe in the Ujjayi form, in and out. Press into your hands. On your next available exhale, step or lightly float forward and land on the soles of your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart straight out. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reaching upward. Exhale, Samasthiti, return to neutral. Inhale your arms up, reach upward. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga of your choice. Inhale, upward dog pose. Exhale, downward dog pose. Breathe in the Ujjayi form. Remember that the postures themselves are tools, so which pose you do is a little less pertinent than how you do it. You might consider the sun salutation a cycle, so we learn how to move from shape to shape. We learn how to move through time, right, through our linear context of memory, anyways, by allowing ourselves this space of experimentation. So as you continue to notice how things are, as you notice what you're doing, remember that you can change it, right? If where you are creates violence, discord is not what you want to practice in your intention, experiment with what does work. And remember, it doesn't need to be perfect to be useful. The freedom of self-movement, expression is pertinent really for all. Next, exhale, step, hop, or float forward, land on the soles of your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine straight out. Exhale, folding deeply. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach to rise, inflate to expand. And exhale, stand in neutral, Samasthiti. Again, inhale, arms up pose, reach upward. Exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog or an alternate. Exhale, down dog. Breathe in the Ujjayi form. Exhale, step hopper float forward, land on your feet. Inhale and roll halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up, pose, reach to rise up. Exhale, Samasthiti, stand in neutral. All right, inhale, take your arms up, reaching upward. And on your exhale, side body bend towards the right. So you can grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand, form of Chandrasana. Your feet can be hips distance, or you can have your legs together. But think about anchoring your tail down and spinning your inner thighs a bit forward. Press your pelvis to the left. Use an inhale to rise back through center, and exhale. Let's do the side bend to the left-hand side. Press your pelvis to the right. You can do whatever you wish with your neck. Sometimes even resting it on the bicep is best. And also bend your elbows as this is too shoulder centric. Inhale back through center. Exhale, cactus arm back bend. Strengthen your hamstrings. Anchor your tail. Plug your heels down. Inhale, arms up, pose, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Dive all the way down. Good. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll to set your spine. Exhale, fold and step your left foot back, long, low lunge. Center your fingertips or draw hands to blocks. Inhale, cow lunge, dip your back knee, lift your heart. Exhale, cat lunge, straightening your front leg, round in. Continue with your breath through these two actions. Inhale, cow lunging, and exhale, cat lunging. And remember, depth is not as pertinent as sort of the flow in this moment. So you might kind of rock back and forth, go easy. Sometimes a gentle shake and nudge in the body actually helps loosen what is tight. In other words, sometimes what is gentle is effective. And the next time that you find yourself in the cat lunge with your spine rounded, pause. You can always shorten your step like I just did, or spin your back heel down, or some folks like to come way high on the ball of their foot. Round your spine if you like. Tuck your chin, draw your navel in, try to curl your front ribs in. You can keep both knees as bent as you wish, especially if the hamstring insertion spaces feel a little bright. You can also feel free to flex your right foot. I'm pressing with my hands right now. You might do that with blocks. It could also work the balance here by allowing your hands to come off the ground and testing out how you can use your legs to support the weight of your head. You're welcome to hang your head also. Give it a try. Notice if your visual energy is really leading all the action. And inhale to cow lunge. Bend your front knee. You might slide your back foot back and use the exhale to drop your left knee to the earth. You might untuck the toes. Climb up onto the right knee thigh and interweave the fingers. Press your pelvis forward and down. Inhale to take your left arm up overhead and exhale, side body bend towards the right. So I'm leaning over. I like to do it sort of centrally over my pelvis, but some bodies feel better going forward or back. You could also experiment with less depth in the lunge or with more lift from props up and around you. And always feel free to pause and take the time you need to do those things. Good. Inhale back through center. Reach both arms up. And exhale that cactus arm back bend. Anchor the tail so the heart feels like it can lift and the head might hang back. Inhale, arms up, reaching upward. And exhale, hands to the earth. Frame your front foot. Curl the back toes, lift the back knee. Inhale, step back, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga of your choice. Inhale, up dog, or perhaps cobra is the version for you. Exhale, down dog, breathing. Vinyasa class is often characterized by these flows. That's really just how things have been. So it's always okay to skip them, head back to down dog. Consider the flow of energy to be the flow of your attention and awareness. And take an inhale, lift your right leg up and back, one-footed dog. Exhale, scorpion the dog. Open your hip and bend your knee. You might flare your toes around, roll your thigh bone around. Pay attention to the stability of your standing leg. A lot of us end up lifting the heel, which is chill, or turning the foot in or out. But consider sort of that as the foundation, what's happening up and above. Good. When you're ready, use an inhale to extend straight up and back through your right leg. And exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, your chin towards your chest. Come high on the ball of your back foot and bring your shoulders over your wrists. Inhale, one-footed dog, reach and expand. And exhale, low lunge, step it up. You may grab it and pull it forward. It doesn't necessarily have to be a super long lunge to be effective, but you want your heel to be able to land. Take an inhale, look forward, and exhale, step up to the top of your mat and hang in forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine. And exhale, folding deeply. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reaching upward, maybe leaning back if it feels good. And exhale, arms by the sides, Samastiti. All right, inhale, arms up, reaching upward. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, side bend to the left. Good. Inhale through center and exhale, backward bend, maybe with cactus arms. Inhale, arms up, reaching upward. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees if you wish. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart straight out. Exhale, forward fold. And step your right foot back. Long, low lunge. Tend to your fingertips. You can also do this with hands on your front knee, arms on a wall or counter, hands up on blocks. Inhale to cow lunge. Dip your back knee, lift your heart up. Exhale towards cat lunge and go back and forth in your own way through these two actions. You might think of your pelvis as it's rocking through space, front to back as the originator of the movement, more than your neck, your hands, your head. Sometimes closing the eyes is an interesting way to subvert that dominant point of view. More collaborative, internetworked idea, even within our idea of the body. How we perceive it, how we utilize it is also how it grows and adapts to be. So if you're considering change, considering openness and growth, you might notice where the boundaries are and who decided on those boundaries. When you feel good about it, pause in the cat lunge to breathe. You might step your back right foot in or spin the heel down, come high on the ball of your foot. You can definitely do this with both knees quite bent if it feels good. Hang your upper body forward and down. Relax your jaw. You can also curl and tuck your chin, practicing the Janya Shirshasana version, the forehead to the knee pose. Breathe. And when you're ready, inhale to cow lunge, dip your back knees, spread out your stance, and exhale to drop the back knee down. Always feel free to fold the mat or grab a cushion or sweatshirt to put underneath your knee if you like. Climb up onto your left knee thigh and interweave your fingers. As you lift your body up, notice the breath. Sometimes we get caught up in effort and we suppress our ability to pay attention to that connected breathing pattern. And when you're ready, inhale to take your right arm up by your ear, stretch up. And exhale by exhale, side body bend towards the left. Again, it may be as it was on the last side, but it doesn't have to be. Notice what it's like to breathe inside of the same shape as opposed to using the breath always to get out of something. What is it like to practice sustainability even as you flow? Good. Inhale to rise up. Take both arms up. Exhale to that cactus arm back bend. Pull your shoulder blades down your back. Inhale, arms up, reaching up. All the dogs are here. Exhale, hands to the mat. Curl your back toes under. Lift your back knee up off the mat. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga of your choosing. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, up dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. Breathe in through your mouth like through a straw. Breathe out through your nose, Ujjayi. Inhale your left leg up, one-footed dog. Exhale, scorpion your dog. Open your hip, bend your knee, and you might move it around a little, a lot. Make some space for your leg to be as it is. Then when you're ready, use an in-breath to straighten and extend your leg out, up, and back. Exhale your knee towards your nose, your chin towards your chest, high on the ball of your back foot. Press with your thumbs. Inhale, one-footed dog reach. And exhale, low lunge. Step your foot forward between your hands. All right. Inhale, like cow lunge, bend your front knee. Good. And exhale, step forward and fold at the top of your mat. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold deeply. Bend your knees, sink your hips. Utkatasana, fierce pose. You can take your arms out, forward, or up. Take another inhale. Stand all the way up. And exhale, your arms by your sides. Find samasthiti, same standing. When we say same standing, sama means same, asitihi to stand at or in attention. Really, it's a reminder of our neutrality practice, that even though it seems like we're moving from extreme to extreme, from change to change, that actually we're trying to seek where neutral is between, around, and interfaced with those things. Take an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. And exhale, fold forward, dive down over your front leg. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold into the front of your legs. Clench your hands, step back, plank pose, and pause. And then take side plank with left hand as the base. You can roll to the outside edge of your left foot. You're welcome to bring your right hand to your hip. Some of us will practice with the knee down on the earth. And others might practice with the opposite leg lifted. Other variations always ensue. Pull your heart up and open and drop your into your back, and consider how far forward over your front hand you are balancing your weight, your bottom arm, as it were. Good. And take a big free inhale. We'll exhale back to plank pose to switch sides. And again, feel free to do this work from the knee. The work of stability isn't necessarily built through extremity. You might take your top hand to the top hip. You might do this work balancing on the blade of one foot or the internal and external blade, or step the top foot up and over. Consider where you are in your shoulder joint, and are you pushing the earth away from a stable platform? Take an inhale. Exhale, plank pose. We're going to come to the forearms for forearm plank. You're always welcome to do side plank on the forearm as well if the wrists feel funky. Right? Sometimes wrist compression is just not for us, or we already have enough of it in our world. Draw the shoulder blades into your back. Let your spine be as it is a little bit. Like, you don't have to manage it super incredibly. And see if you can feel your abdominal muscles working. You can do this with knees down and feet up. You're welcome to skip it all together and take another round or two of breath. And use the exhale to lower all the way down. We'll take Sphinx pose, so climb up onto your elbows, forearms. Press the tops of your feet down. Your feet can be wide for sure. Some people love to bring their legs close for stability reasons, and if that's you, go to town. And also take your hands wider. For some of us, this lift is a lot of pressure in the lower back or the shoulders. You can take your arms more out in front and use a prop to prop yourself up instead. You can put a towel over a book and set it underneath the front of your rib cage or a pillow there. Otherwise, you're welcome to do what you'd like with your neck. Your head could be up. You could rest your forehead on a lift. You are welcome to do opposite or different variations, bending your knees, managing the body by tucking the tail and drawing the belly in if your low back does feel overcompressed. You can always lower your body all the way down, face to the earth. And that's sometimes enough compression, just depending on the shape your bones take together. We'll be here for about 7 rounds of breath, another moment of sustaining. Different kind of moment of sustaining than the planks were, though. Can we be with how things are when we're not doing so much to perfect or control or manage, and there's room for our focus to be more broad? Very slowly, when you're ready, begin to lower your upper body down and curl your toes under. You might integrate abdominal strength as much as feels good, so that as you inhale to push up, your lower back is supported. We'll head back to child's pose. Send your hips to your heels for a moment as a counteraction. And bring your forehead down or to hang. Try to send your breath into the swell of your lower back. And when you're ready, inhale to pull up into a tabletop and exhale into downward facing dog pose. Inhale to take your right leg up, one-footed dog. Exhale, low lunge, step forward between your hands. Stay high on the ball of your back foot and climb up or rise up into high lunge, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana, arms frame the face. Settle your weight into your front heel. It's okay if there's a back bend, but you want to support it by feeling strong in the front seam. Drive your thigh bones into your hip sockets equally so your pelvis has equanimity. Take an inhale to stretch up. And exhale to warrior two. Plant your back heel and widen your arms. You're always welcome to adjust your feet, adjust the angles. Everyone's thigh bones sit in their hip sockets differently. There's many good ways to plant your feet on the ground from a spine out perspective. As you press your heels down, try to relax your toes into the earth. Flip your right palm up and inhale to reverse your warrior. Sweep it up. You can slide your left hand down your back left leg, avoiding pressure on the knee. And breathe here for a few breaths, often resettling some of our energy and weight forward gives us perspective. You're welcome to hang the head or gaze up past your top fingertips. Use an in-breath to fill your right lung. And on your exhale, let's find extended side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. You can bring your elbow to your knee or bring your hand down inside or outside of your front foot. I suggest to minimize load bearing, even if you're using a block or touching the earth. You can take your left arm up or over. You might gaze up past your top fingertips, press into your feet, and make it a good, honest standing posture. Good. Inhale up, warrior two. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back, plank pose. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga of your choice. Inhale, upward dog or an alternate. Exhale, downward dog pose. Inhale your left leg high. Exhale, low lunge. Once you've planted your foot, inhale to the high lunge, crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana, and take a couple of exhales to land in the shape. We tend to hike the shoulders up because it's what we do when we're trying to perform. And by perform, I mean like create product in the world, right? Integrate with systems that have been created by humans as opposed to by the earth, and sometimes some that have been created by the earth as well. And just notice the tension pattern, right? Is it useful to you? And one of the many ways we create ourselves in this lifetime. Take an inhale, stretch up. And exhale to warrior two, widen the arms. You might gaze out over your left thumb, settle into your feet, and breathe. Try to find equanimity between your legs, even though they're doing different things, really plugging your back heel into the ground. Flip your left palm. Inhale to reverse the warrior out, up and back. And slide your right hand down the back leg. Some people like to bind it around for the inner left thigh behind the back. That's you. Feel free. Breathe where you are. Notice how it is you pay attention to the present tense. Good. Take an inhale. Fill your left lung. Exhale, extended side angle Parsvakonasana, elbow to knee or arm towards the earth, inside or outside of the foot, right arm up or over, breathing. Settle your heels into the ground. Good. Inhale, pick yourself up. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back, plank pose, chaturanga of your choice. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Press into your hands, and one by one start to walk your hands back to your feet. You might stay on your tippy toes. At a certain point, you'll feel the transfer of weight in your head. Relax your jaw. Interweave your fingers behind you at your tail and let your wrists drift forward and down. One big fish shape. You're welcome to bend the elbows. Changes where the pressure goes. Grab a prop between the hands like a t-shirt or towel. And slowly inhaling your thumbs towards your tail. Exhale to release them, let them hang forward and down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. Good. Bend into your left knee. Maybe bend both knees, in fact. And settle your left hand down to hang inside of your left foot, maybe to touch the earth. You can also put it up on a prop or onto your right knee even. If you are twisting higher, that may be where you stay. If you're low, you might try to bring your left shoulder, left arm, or torso to the inside of your left thigh and knee. And inhale your right arm up, twist to the right. Now both knees can stay bent for sure and for real. If you want to straighten your right leg, you can. Sometimes that changes the depth, the pressure, the obstacle involved. You're also welcome to bind. Take your top arm behind your back and reach for two hands in the outer left hip as you breathe. Good, and release it. Let's switch sides. Bend into your right knee and slowly find where you're going to twist, how you're going to integrate to that inseam of your right leg, even if you're lifted 6 inches up on your knee. Inhale to take your left arm up and begin to twist to the left if you wish. You might straighten your right leg, or your left leg a little more. Some people can straighten both legs and it's of interest. Some people bind. Feel free to experiment and remember where you meet obstacle does not actually denote the value, right? It's like, oh, you can't touch your hands. You still did the work of the process. Breathe. And exhale, by exhale, release your hands down to hang. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to the yogi's squat. So feet about hips distance, bend your knees, sink your pelvis low, and bring hands to heart center, press hands into the earth. Feel free to do any twisting, binding that feels of use to you. And from this perspective, this low squat, you're going to take your arms and walk them out as far forward as you feel like you can. It might not be super far. You might round your back like the cat shape. You might lift your heels. And then press with your feet and walk your hands all the way out into downward facing dog pose. Walk your feet towards neutral and hang your head. All right. Inhale, bend your knees, lift your gaze. Exhale, step or float your feet to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Utkatasana, bend your knees, sink your hips. The fierce pose, some folks call it chair. We did it a bit earlier, earlier in practice. Drop your shoulders down, draw your navel in. Take a big free inhale. On your exhale, open twist to the right, right arm back, left arm forward. Now work to front face your pelvis as much as you're turning your heart to the right so you find neutral. You're welcome to stay as you breathe on the inhale or bring hands to heart center and exhale to fold and bind the twist. Try to hook your elbow outside of your knee and also bind between the knees or on the inside of your left thigh or with a block between if it gives you purchase. Settle your hips low, turn your heart tall, and drive your left thigh bone back and down. Exhale, forward fold, dive over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bend your knees. Utkatasana, arms up. This time right away, exhale, open, twist left. Remain or bring hands to heart center on the inhale. And exhale to fold and bind the twist, elbow outside the knee or between the knees or on top. The bound versions and unbound versions are both good. They serve different purposes, require different ranges of motion, different building of strength. Remember where you are is what's to be paid attention to in process. Inhale back through center, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold forward, dive over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, soften your right knee and step your left foot back. Now you're welcome on the way to swing your left leg up and fold forward, a standing L or split. When you land your foot, try to be mindful, maybe even look for it. And even if you don't have a wiener dog on your mat that you might kick, drop your back knee down and untuck your toes. Bring your right arm to the inside of your right foot and toe heel it out for the lizard lunge. And stay on your hands or come down to your forearms. You're welcome to turn your toes out and relax your neck and head. Be here for about 5 breaths. So if there's a different variation, or if you work to bend your back knee or do something else here, please feel free to head in your own timing and way. All right. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up, inhale. And exhale, start to walk your hands over toward your left foot. You might pause in this wide-footed forward fold or head all the way over to your left foot right away. I'm going to move my left foot around this friend I have on my mat here. We'll come to lizard on the opposite side in your own timing. You can drop down to your back knee, untuck your toes. There are versions of this with the back knee lifted, and you can do them if you like. And stay on your hands or come to your forearms. Turn your toes out or not. Sometimes it's good to have an obstacle. Good, and press into your hands to lift your upper body. And curl your right toes under and lift your right knee. You might walk your left foot in, not so wide, more to the center seam of your action. And inhale to take your right leg up. You might bring it directly forward and down, or again spend a moment in this standing L or split work before bringing your right foot to meet your left foot in forward fold. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of action of drawing the body and the legs towards one another, but with wide feet here. I'm going to turn to face you more. So widen your feet out, maybe wider than your hips, and bend your knees. And start to walk your way down so that you feel like you're trying to wiggle between your legs. You may have tight hamstrings and a lot of resistance here, so you may end up much higher in this rounded shape, and that's okay. Keep bending your knees. You can utilize props underneath your hands. Tuck your chin and breathe where you are. If you feel like you're walking your hands back through your legs, you might walk your hands to the backs of your heels and try to use that grip to work your shoulders behind the pits of your knees. Hang your head. If it feels good, you could straighten your legs a bit, just so you can feel your legs press into the backs of your shoulders and aid the folding action that's going down. Take a big free inhale in. And exhale, release it, walk your feet back in and towards one another. Good, inhale, take your left leg up and back, and exhale, step your left foot to the back of your mat. We're going to take half Hanuman, half split. You might alternatively do half pigeon if you prefer external hip stretch. So straightening your right leg, fold forward over it and hang your head. Some of you might slide the leg more forward. Some of you might choose to go more back into this variation. You're welcome to any of those things or any point in between. Feel free to breathe where you are and notice the intention of your work. Nobody's going to love you more. You're not a better person if you can complete the Hanuman posture. There's no pot of gold when your hips touch the ground. And give yourself space instead to notice what you can learn through process by being kind to the body, by creating action that empowers you, that heals you, works with your own intuition. And when you're ready, bend into your right knee and curl your back toes, lift your back knee up the mat. Begin to walk your hands towards your left foot, and this time we'll pause in the wide-footed forward fold. And you're welcome if you do inversions from here, like forearm stand, headstand, handstand, to do them. Some people come to crow, which is pretty cool. You're welcome to invert by being here, by bending your knees and hanging your head. You might press your hands into the ground or into props to give you stability. Not dissimilar for many of us, the posture that you just did at the top of the mat. Inhale to unroll your heart, and exhale, walk your hands to your left foot, turn to face the top of the mat once more, drop the right knee down, half split, half Hanuman, straighten your left leg and fold. Remember, you might be doing different things from side to side. I myself had some asymmetrical hamstring injuries for a while and could only work one side of some of these postures, which really changed how my body shaped itself. So consider how it is you're working, what feels like a healing action for you. You don't necessarily need to be symmetrical to be functional. Good. And very slowly bend into your left knee and curl your left toes. Lift your left knee up off the earth. Inhale, look forward. You might again kick off. Give yourself time in the standing L or standing split posture. And we'll meet in the next few breaths with 2 feet down and together at the top of the yoga mat. If it feels good for you, once you're there, you can take your hands behind you. Maybe your hands will meet, or you can grab a strap. Pull yourself in and down. If your hands meet easily, you might hook your elbows around your legs, and you can cross the hands in front so that you have space to grab the fronts of your shins. Relax your neck. You might straighten the legs to whatever degree feels useful for you. Good. Release the arm grip. Inhale and roll your heart. Exhale, crouch down. You can lift your heels up if you'd like on the way down. Oof, there we go. And we're going to come all the way down to a seat. You're doing a little bit of work into the pelvis, into the seam of back bending and forward folding and the front seam of your hips. We're going to do a little bit of half boat work and then lay down and back bend and rest. Now start by taking your left leg out long and bending your right knee into your chest. Now for me to do this, and here I'll turn around, I have to let my right butt cheek actually lift off the ground for me to fold my knee all the way because of the length of my tib and fib. So if that's you, feel free to do that. You can be asymmetrical when you do this action for the moment and hug around your leg. And try to pull yourself towards your knee. Now, to do the next bit, you will have to kind of shift back and let your butt cheek come to the ground because we're going to try to lean back and let the leg come off the earth. Good. Now, once that's gone down, perhaps you can start to unbend your knee till it's about at 90 degrees. You can switch the grip to the back of your leg and hold it. Now, at this point, you're probably already having your hamstring tell you a lot of things, the flexibility of the back of your leg. And if that's true, keep your knee bent, press through the ball of your foot and your heel, and try to lift your heart up, that half lift or up dog sensation. If you feel like there's more stretch in your hamstring, you might reach for the back of your calf and work your knee more straight, or your heel and point your toes to work your leg more straight. Now, the last option for this is to push your leg, the back of your knee or your heel, whatever's touching your hands, into your hands, even as you lean back and sort of resist that pressure. So you might feel your hamstring kick on. Whether your knee is bent or straight, after a few breaths of that action, try to keep your leg and your torso where it is, but release your hands, right? And you might release one, right? You might only do it for a moment and go back to it. The idea is to sort of test our ability to work in different range of motion. Cool, and release your right leg down. Dandasana, staff pose. Roll your tail back, your pelvis forward. You could tent to your fingertips. And exhale, fold forward over your legs. You can reach for your feet if you like. Inhale to unroll like a half lift, and exhale to fold in. And then slowly drag your head to round up, and this time we'll bend the left knee and bring the heel up. Hug around your leg, hold it close. Lift your heart up and breathe. Then start to slowly lean back. Take your leg with you until maybe your foot will get light and lift off the ground. You can continue to work your leg and your chest towards one another, whether you have to round your spine. Notice that the shoulders are doing it all. And try to think about those folding muscles at the book crease of your body, your iliopsoas, celiacus, lower abdominals, quadriceps. From here, begin to let your knee become 90 degrees and grab from behind instead. You can totally do this with your hands if the hugging gesture is already a lot of range to ask of your spine or your back seam. You find you're here, you can push the back of your leg into your arms and do the work that we're talking about. You might grab for the back of your calf and press the back of it into your hands or into your heel, kicking the heel away, drawing your torso back and breathing. We'll be here for about 3 or 4 more rounds of breath. You might also drive the back of your right leg down into the ground actively. And then without the bind of the action, you may release your hands and see what is sustainable there. Slowly, when you're ready, release your left leg down. Staff pose, flex through your feet. You can bend your knees if you need to. Stick out your tail, puff out your chest a little. Inhale. Exhale, roll down. Super pelvic tuck, one bone at a time. Drag your head, drag your fingertips. When you're all the way down on your back, most of us have to adjust to stay on our mat and things like that. So feel free to do that work. Once you are on your back, bend your knees and place the soles of your feet on the mat. The offering is bridge pose. You can always do this with a prop underneath your hips to give you a little more rest and relaxation. Hands by the sides, palms face up or down. Exhale, press your low back down, tuck your tail. Inhale to roll up, low back, middle back. You can walk your shoulder blades together underneath you and puff out your chest, tuck your chin, and gaze down the line of your nose, breathing. And if you have a block placed under your sacrum at any setting, you can let this be passive and hang here as long as you'd like. Otherwise, after a few breaths, when you're ready, slowly round down. Try to use the muscles of the front body to slow and control the expansion of the back body into the floor. When you get there, take a few spinal twists. Drop your knees from side to side. It might be loose. Also might be shallow, not a super deep range of motion. Some folks also really like taking their legs up and shaking their feet to loosen the lower back. It's different for everyone. You feel like your lower back is stable, you could hug your knees into your chest. A mat like this so the lower back is less pressurized. Sometimes instead of arms out long, you rest your hands in your belly or your heart or your hips. Some people love having their arms overhead. Just know that sometimes it can create tingling or a little bit of cardiac uplift in some people. If that ever feels true for you, you could always just let them release by your sides or to a different position when and if that occurs. Close your eyes, relax your teeth off each other, especially the back one, and settle down into rest. Now you could always pause the video because you feel like you need to do something else for a little while, and that's just fine. Feel free to do that. You could always take your time to work through any finishing postures or actions of import to you and join back up with the video when you're ready. We're settling to rest, and you'll rest for a few minutes, and then I'll call you up and out so you can move on to the next thing. But if you know you need a much longer rest, again, you might pause and set your own timer, or a much shorter rest, you might pause and set your own timer. Otherwise, you can rest in any position you like, on the back, the side, the belly. You could choose a meditation seat instead. You can look at one spot or let your lids of eyes fall softly closed. And again, this incongruency, right? You can practice what doesn't necessarily feel successful and it can still be valuable. You can be confused and compassionate at the same time. You can have thoughts that you disagree with. You can be accountable for your actions and still practice kindness. And there's a lot of space for that, but also a lot of restriction to it, often in the way that we've been molded to think. Allow yourself to do your own sorting. My sorting is just a suggestion. You might get out any last fidgets or wiggles or yayas so that you can rest in heaviness and stillness. Let the weight of your body be pulled by gravity. When the time comes to return to action, I'll call you up and out. Till then, pay attention to how things really are. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanyebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhinom bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you're lying in rest and wish to remain as such, do. The time has come to return to action. Begin to go to your breath and slowly, gently watch it. Slowly, gently, exponentially deepen it so that you're breathing gently on purpose again. As you start to let the swell of the breath grow, you might write it into any intuitive actions that feel good, like when you rise from sleep. Wiggle your fingers or toes or stretch up and out and run your tongue over your mouth surfaces or move around the muscles of your face. In the next 6 or 7 rounds of breath, of moving and returning, pick an exhale to gather your knees to your chest and to roll onto your favorite side, the left being a little more receptive and reflective, and the right side being a little more responsive and reactive. And pause there to take a moment to acknowledge gratitude for process. There are many contributing factors to your unique process. You might consider the process of nature, stars colliding to create our solar system. Excuse me, the ecology of our planet being at the place to support our species in this abundant way. You might consider ancestry, yours and that of the land you occupy. I'm here on Straight Salish, Samish, and Lumi land. You might consider teachers of all kinds, knowledge of all lineages that has come to you, the obstacles, boundaries, and difficulties you faced, as well as the privileges, gifts, boons, collaborators. And consider of most import your own time and attention again and again to practice power and peace. When you're ready, use your top hand to press yourself up towards a seat and we'll seal in practice. That chant that I chanted is a traditional closing chant in the lineage of Krishnamacharya, from which Vinyasa yoga, the style of yoga we practice today, comes. Its overarching meaning, always when we translate from Sanskrit to English, we lose a little, as those words have much more context and depth of meaning often than the way we utilize word content now. But the overarching meaning, the translation that I like to give is, hail to the energy that creates. May the noble practitioners here be blessed. May their work be effective and cultivate abundance. May our work seek to contribute to the happiness and liberation of all beings everywhere, inside of the context of universality, non-dualism, and peace. So, while you have this obligation to liberate yourself, right, we are all going to liberation together. If you wish, you can fold your hands in Anjali Mudra, the prayer position at heart center. And you might hold the idea in the eye of your mind of non-dualism. The things that seem disparate, separate, incongruent have a meeting place on the spectrum of everything where they become one. And it's not with the rationale of the mind that we hold this truth of unity, and instead with the compassion that lies in the cave of the heart. Thank you for your time, your energy, your effort. If you wish, you can bring thumbs to the forehead, the third eye center, acknowledging that the mind must always bow to the intuition and guidance of the heart and body. If you wish, you can bow to yourself, seal in your practice. Thank you for sharing space and time with me, even though we're in different space and time. I'm grateful for you allowing me and my humanness to be part of your work. If you ever have questions or comments or feedback, if you need to say something to me, it's always okay to reach out. Direct message is usually the best way, but public forum is always fine if it feels pertinent. Let me know if you need anything from me or if there's anything I need to learn. The dialogue is always present. Otherwise, know that this class, the intake of this class is donation based, which means that you can use any of the income sources that I put up there, like Venmo and PayPal, to donate to me. 50% of all the proceeds for these video classes and all the classes I'm teaching this month will go to the Black Trans Task Force of Seattle, or of Washington. They're located in Seattle. The information and link to them is there. If you want to donate more, that way you can reach out in that context. Always, class is presented in solidarity with what is kind and what is truthful. I think that's all I have to say. I appreciate you, and I hope you are as well as you can be in the time. Hopefully, I will see you soon.